Hey everyone, welcome to Wildlife Inspired. I'm your host, Scott Keys, and in today's video, I've got a list of ways to improve engagement in your photography. Specifically, how do you get better engagement with your wildlife portraits? We'll get to it right after this. Now I want to dive right into this concept of engagement. I think this is a really important topic to discuss and essential for all genres of photography. I'm going to show you some wildlife images, a lot of birds, got some others in here as well on this one. But I want to start with just defining engagement as it pertains to my definition around photography. A lot of subjective definitions out there, but I'm going to call this to attract or hold the attention of someone. And in our case as photographers, to hold the attention of the viewer of our images. There's a lot of ways to do this. I'm going to narrow the focus of my video around doing it with single subjects in a portrait environment. So how do you create engagement simply by taking a portrait? I'm going to list some other ways up here, by the way, of creating engagement. There's probably some few that I missed in here, but I've got a pretty decent list. For this video, by the way, I have enlisted the help of my patrons over on my subscription site over on Patreon. Now there's a description down below or a link down below, and you can check that out. On that site, I go a lot deeper into editing, specifically around bird images, but it pertains to all wildlife. I take you out in the field with me as well. It is a low subscription monthly rate, and from the day you sign up, you get access to literally hundreds of videos, and there's no commitment. It's month to month. So check that site out. If you've never been over there, I would encourage you. You can join free, but to get access to the videos, you're going to want to pick one of those subscription-based tiers. Now let's get into today's video around engagement with some of the ways you can create engagement. And I'm going to skim through this list pretty quickly. Let me flip screens, and we're going to talk about creating engagement with just color. Certainly a way to do that. We can create engagement with compelling composition. This is a composition that I really liked with the curve of that branch mirroring the curve of the head. We can create engagement through detail, whether it's the details of a subject or in this case, maybe the detail of what that subject is doing. We can try to create interaction between two subjects. This is not my image, by the way. This is one of my patrons, Nathan Watson, an excellent image. But just look at the look between this chick and the parent there. Really creates this idea of engagement. I thought that was a good use of interaction. We're not going to talk about interaction or action in this video. Action is another way that you can create that engagement. Capturing a moment in time. Let me show you this image. One of the first images that I was ever really like, wow, that's pretty good. I took this one a long time ago, and it was a moment in time, capturing the moment and also capturing the look of that little robin on the ground. I thought was really important. So again, more than just a portraiture or more than just a portrait, this we're getting into a little bit of action and interaction. Cuteness. There is an effect of engagement on just things that are incredibly cute. We normally think of these as fawns, babies, in my case, chicks for birds. This creates a lot of engagement. So certainly something to think about. So with that said, I do want to talk about 5 ways that I think you can create this really important engagement beyond action and interaction and color, but just with the subject itself. Now I've listed 5 of these ways, and I'm going to start, again, these are all portraits. I'm going to start by showing you some images and talking about these concepts. I'm going to list the first concept over here, which is perspective. Now, I want you to notice this ground level perspective. We normally think of songbirds as in branches. When we get eye level with something, and I'm going to start with this image. I'll show you about 4 or 5. The concept is very clear, but I want to give kind of an experiment with you. I want you to think of yourself as talking to somebody who's much larger than you. You're looking up at them for any reason. And how does that make you feel as a person? Generally, and I'm not a sociologist, but generally, that will make you feel smaller and it will put you in a less important position. If you're above somebody speaking down to them, the opposite effect can be true. You can get a perception of yourself, kind of a dominant perception of yourself. So just these angles and these ideas of like sizes and views and angles can be very important. If we're creating engagement though, we really do want to be at eye level. So perspective, critically important. I'm going to show you a few examples here. I will list the names of the people if I forget to pronounce them. This is Pav Selvam. And this next image, again, eye level right there. This is Richard Schock. Really, really neat when we can get birds in the trees. I wanted to feature something up above us, but that you could still get it at eye level and how we can create that engagement. This is Mark Troxel. I thought this one was exceptional because we get some other components in here as well. We're going to talk about those other components in just a minute. But this is, again, eye level, but he's up above us. We know that. Being down below, you don't get the same level of engagement. This image by Jerry Ramsey. I'm going to show you some waterfowl here. And as we get into this waterfowl, I want to show you this image by Susan Jordan. And this is a good image. Like the color in this, the perspective is pretty good, but I want to show you a contrast as we move through here because I had multiple people submit images and they were all the same species. Now, notice the difference as Ronnie and Nash gets a little bit lower. I'll compare these two. Which one feels more engaging? And now watch as Jamie Gorm gets even lower. Now, I talked about detail before. I want you to notice this little droplet right there. So certainly that detail helps. And I'm going to finish with the same species. Now, this is not the male drake. This is the hen. But notice this super low engagement, this super low perspective, and how just being absolutely eye to eye creates this very powerful sense of belonging to the image. So perspective, critically important, especially with bird photography. And why is it more important with bird photography? Well, let's say we're shooting a moose or a cow. It's probably about eye level, right? We might have to go up and down a little bit to get eye level. With a bird, it can be anywhere from an inch off the ground to hundreds of feet off the ground. We don't know where our subjects are always going to be. So achieving that perspective can be really, really tough. And that's why as a bird photographer, I always believed that perspective was critically important because it is so difficult to achieve sometimes. Now, along with perspective comes this other concept, and that is being drawn in by the eyes. This image by Amy Vitale, I think really shows how powerful eyes can be. They just pull you into an image right away. This one by John Davis, a beautiful stare. I believe this is a Cooper's hawk. But a beautiful stare. Look at that really sharp red eye and how it just captivates you. You're instantly drawn to it. It makes you part of the scene. And again, as we talk about engagement, it's drawing us in, it's attracting us, it's holding our attention. Look at this one by Nathan Watson. I showed you an earlier image. No color, a simple image, but look at where your focus and attention goes, and it really does hold you there. Eyes are so incredibly important to all photography, whether we're doing mammals or humans, but for these genres of photography that involve it, it is so critically important. Jocelyn Anderson showed me this really great stare, and sometimes beyond just the eyes, it's also the stare or the gaze that can be really, really important. This one exactly head on. In a pose we're not always used to seeing. Sometimes we'll see these birds profiled. I want to finish this concept of eyes with a spoonbill by Ed Daly. Just look at it. We get perspective, and now with that perspective comes this gaze and this focus on eyes. So really, really, really important concepts here, a little bit tied together. As we achieve the better perspective, we are more likely to get more engaged with the eyes. So I kind of put these as topic 1 and maybe 1A, but I'm going to list these as the first 2 topics around creating engagement through portraiture in wildlife photography. And let's switch gears and get on to another topic. And this topic, I had trouble naming this topic, but I ended up with the terminology approaching. Really, it's coming at you. So when a subject is moving away with its back towards you, it is often perceived as less engaging than when it is coming towards you. Again, when you combine this with perspective and sometimes with the eyes, it can really go over the top to make a super compelling image. This one by Kirsten Asmussen. And then we've got Sharon Topless. Again, subject, eye level, coming right at us. Susie Grathwall shows us this very similar look with shorebirds. Michael Riccio gets a little bit closer, puts a lot of color in this shorebird image. And finally, this is Shelly Palamaki, and this is so cute. We got a couple of aspects in here, but look at you talk about low perspective. This is camera on the ground perspective. I really, really love this. Shallow depth of field, the foreground, background out of focus, and some really nice light here. So Shelly, well done on that one. Couple other, these were the shorebirds. We can do it with other subjects, so it doesn't have to be a shorebird. We certainly have waterfowl that are coming at us. We can have birds in flight coming at us. This one by Neil Schulman. Jacob Beegis is a terrific photographer. He went small in frame here, but still an engaging photo as it's coming at us. A little bit of environment in there as well. Jacob, by the way, a very talented photographer, often does some small in frame work. Really, really like this one. Looks like an American kestrel on that one. Now let's step this up a notch. Let's talk about other birds coming at you with maybe even more compelling looks as we got a little bit closer. Watch Andrea Bruno. I mean, this one is just absolutely wow. I mean like jaw-dropping wow. Here's a bird in flight taken at eye level perspective with a focus on that intense stare and just really, really well done. I've got a couple others that I want to show you in a similar vein. This one by Barb Ward Blank. Again, really nice stare, off the ground, eye level, coming right at us, pulling us into the image as we feel connected with these subjects. And this is what the approach does. When something is moving at us, it creates this draw. It makes us really feel connected to the image. And I'm going to finish with this one. It's a skimmer image by Ed Daly. Showed Ed in another one, but I like this one so much, I put him in twice. You could see the golden glow on the water, but it is that idea of it coming right at us. The eyes are on us. Everything feels drawn into it. It holds your attention, and it is the epitome of this video, which is to draw us in and hold our attention. So really, really well done for all of the people that submitted images. A couple of these I just felt really, really exemplified this one. And I'm going to finish that concept of approach. Now, I was trying to think of some other ways with subjects. How do we get drawn into just a simple subject, one subject in an image in a portrait environment? And I was drawn to this concept of mannerisms. Now, I don't know exactly the right terminology, so I'm going to leave it as mannerisms. Some of this is about expression. There's this term called anthropomorphizing, and it means that we take human characteristics and we portray them onto subjects, and often we do it with animals. So in this image, what we see is an angry looking bird. And that's because these gnatcatchers naturally have these eyebrows that are very sharp. Now that's just the way their plumage is, but it gives them this kind of angry look. And when we can put human expressions onto animals, by the way, there are a lot of people that are anti this concept. They do not like doing this. Animals don't have feelings. We shouldn't do that. But as a visual storyteller, as a photographer, it is a powerful way to connect with an audience because we can relate to it. So when we can relate to that angry expression, it will hold our attention and draw us in. Randy Loden shows us like this kind of like yawn or stretch. Again, we can relate to that. We put our own emotions onto that sometime. This is Doug Matula's, and again, that curious stare, right? Look at Tim Riley shows us this kind of this bad hair day. We've probably seen these captions before sometimes, and it draws us in. And sometimes it's that expression, it's something we can relate to. Here's another one. I showed Pav Selvin earlier. I'm going to show him again. Quizzical, kind of curious look. Whatever that we can relate to that look. What's he looking at? What's he searching for? What's behind that image? And finally, I'm going to close this concept with Carla Jordan. And just a bad day. This we can relate to, that wet, miserable look. Again, think about the other concepts here, perspective and engagement with the eyes. This has all of that. And then it also kind of has this expression to it, this defeated, heavy expression that we can relate to as people. And I promise you, whether or not you agree with a concept, from a visual standpoint, this is creating engagement. It draws us in. And then mood, we'll talk a little bit more about mood at the end of this video, but kind of getting a sense of the environment that it's in and drawing you in. This idea of serenity in an image like this can be really, really powerful. I want to bring this one up full screen so you can appreciate, kind of the mood, because this is a little bit smaller in frame. And around this idea of mood, I wanted to talk about how how important light can be in creating a mood. So when you get these evening shots or early morning shots, sometimes blue hour or golden hour, it can really complement the subject. Now, this one is a little bit more environmental, but let me pull up this image, and this is by Barb Ward Blank, and this is one of those portrait images. But I thought it was a really, really good example of how light and mood can come through even in a simple portrait like this bufflehead duck. Thought this one was really, really well done. And that kind of finishes out the fifth concept here. So recap this a little bit. And that's my list on the side. These are the 5 ways that I think we can create engagement even when we're just doing simple portraits. What do you think? Did the illustrations and did the images, did it help reinforce this? And did the concept overall make sense? Do you understand how important it is to create that connection to the viewer? And hopefully you found these 5 ways as ways that you can utilize in your photography to help create that engagement, that connection to the viewer, which ultimately is probably what we all want. Now, if you like this video and you want to support the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. That'll let you know when I have a new video out. I have some playlists down there as well. So in addition to these educational videos, I will do videos on software reviews, hardware reviews, and I'll do some quick thoughts and opinion pieces as well. So make sure you're subscribed to get all of that information. I do want to say I sincerely appreciate all the subscribers who have taken their time to watch my videos. It really means a lot to me. I hope to see more of you in the future. And as always, I hope we can continue to find inspiration in wildlife together.